Hi again then guys, and welcome to episode 15 of SuperSports, the review series for the vehicles which are above sports cars, but not necessarily in the all-round category of a full-on supercar. Now this car is one of those vehicles which, like a couple of others in the series, almost bridges the gap between supersports and full-on supercar, and it is of course the widely loved, massively popular and very widely respected Nissan GT-R, specifically the R35 generation, which was released to the public in, of course, 2007, which is this version here, the original R35 GT-R. Now, first thing I need to make clear is that, as far as I'm concerned, this is the only version I will be including in this series, because this represents the best value for money, because it's the cheapest and isn't that much slower than all the others, and also because all of the GTRs are, like the Red Bull, different variations of the same concept. So unless you guys specifically want me to review, say, the Nismo or the Black Edition or the V-Spec, I won't be doing so. So if you do want to see reviews for the Nismo or the Black Edition, etc., be sure to comment below. Because if you don't comment, I'll take it that you don't really care, so I won't do them. Overall, this is, as I said, the basic model, basic being a very rough term of course, of the R35. Came out in 2007, it's got a 3.8 litre twin-turbo V6, all-wheel drive as the GT-R has been for a long time now, and although people don't call it such, we all know it's a Skyline. And like all of the Skylines, especially once it had become an all-wheel drive model, it's known for a few things above all. Highly competitive, reasonably heavy due to the all-wheel drive, the large overall size of the vehicle itself, and the amount of tech that they put into it, and also not only competitive from a motorsports point of view, but also one of the fastest and most capable point-to-point vehicles ever made. The R35 takes that to a whole new level. The Skyline was always a quick machine, the ultimate version being arguably the R34 for overall all-round ability. But if you compare a stock version of each Skyline of each generation, the R35 suddenly makes a huge leap ahead of all of the others. It goes from being sports car to super sports. Now, when tuned, the other models could possibly be argued for being supersports models. This version was a supersports right from the get-go. Even with its stock power, it's still almost supercar level. I say almost because the top speed's not necessarily at the level of a full-on supercar. The acceleration certainly is though, and it's one of the most widely loved aspects of the R35 generation GT-R. It's so quick off the line. Now this version is no exception to that, just because it's the slowest, being relative of course, but the slowest version of the R35 that's on the game. That's not including the prototype or the masked versions. Now it produces 1,020 horsepower, 764 pound-feet of torque, and has 732 horsepower per tonne, despite the fact that it's a pretty heavy car, even with the full weight loss package, because, as I mentioned earlier, all-wheel drive, it's a big car, all the tech, etc, etc. It weighs just under 1,400 kilos, so around the same kind of weight as a stripped-out Veyron on this game, so it's a very heavy car. Unlike the Veyron, however, it handles itself extremely well for its weight, especially when fully tuned. It doesn't feel anywhere near as heavy as it actually is. This could easily pass as an 1,100 or 1,200 kilo car instead of what it actually is, a 1,400 kilo car. And as far as the power, it doesn't feel as powerful as it actually is, but in a good way. It doesn't feel anywhere near as difficult as you'd expect a 1,000 horsepower car to be. The acceleration is fast, but not rabid. It's more relentless than rabid. The torque delivery isn't sharp like you'd expect from a Corvette or a Viper, which just makes you wheel spin. Obviously the all-wheel drive and technology behind the car help with that, but still there are plenty of all-wheel drive cars which would just wheel spin with that kind of torque. This car keeps it all under control, it keeps it composed, and it does exactly what you need it to do when you need it to do it, which is something that's been pretty much there in all of the Skyline generations, really. Now, this version I would say is the best value for money of all the R35s because of the price. It's a 77,000 credit car, and despite the fact that yes, the others are quicker, they also cost a lot more, in some cases almost double the price of this version. They're double the price, but they're not twice as good. Even the Nismo is only around 15 to 20 miles per hour quicker top end. Now that's a pretty big margin, but this car can still keep up with a Nismo easily on most tracks. So double the price just doesn't really justify the Nismo for me. I know a lot of people love the car, but I'm talking pure affordable value. And for that, this car is unarguably the best of all of the GT-R of the R35 generation. So if you're looking for, as I think most of you guys already know, a formidable all-round opponent, it would be difficult to find a better one than the GT-R. Personally, I'm not a massive fan of the car. It's one of those vehicles which I have more respect than love for, but good-looking car. In real life, it's one of the most practical high-performance cars, and as I said, a formidable all-round opponent. So that's it for this episode. As I said, be sure to comment if you want to see other GT-Rs reviewed, and as always, thanks for watching.